Would you trade an empire for one person's life? That's the question Lucas Reed faces on the coldest night of his life. The snowstorm hits Port Sterling at 11:43 on a Thursday. Emily Ross, 29 years old, CEO, keeper of her father's legacy, stands alone on Dock 7. Her breath ghosts white in the floodlights. The wind cuts through her coat like a blade. She clutches a file folder to her chest. Inside, contracts that could save her company or destroy it. The choice is hers, but the consequences? Those belong to everyone she loves. Headlights cut through the falling snow, 12 black SUVs moving in perfect formation. Silent, predatory, purposeful. The lead vehicle stops 20 feet away. The door opens. Lucas Reed steps out into the storm. 38 years old, white American. The kind of man who doesn't negotiate, he conquers. His dark coat billows in the wind. Snow catches in his hair, melts on his shoulders. He walks toward her through the white chaos, each step deliberate. Behind him, Marcus Hale emerges, chief of security, loyal to the bone, a man whose reputation precedes him in circles most people never see. But tonight, Marcus's role is simple. Witness what happens when two immovable forces collide. Lucas stops 5 feet from Emily. Their eyes meet. "Sign the merger, Emily," he says, voice cutting through the wind. "Or watch everything you love turn to ash." She doesn't flinch, doesn't blink, doesn't step back. "Over my dead company." The file stays closed in her trembling hand. Behind her, the port she swore to protect. 42 employees who depend on her. 3 shipping routes her father died defending. Behind him, an empire built on control, strategy, and calculated risk. Between them, a collision neither saw coming, a war that will change everything. This is the story of the CEO he tried to break, and the empire he burned to save her. Let's begin. Emily Ross learned what legacy meant the day her father died. She was 26. It was a Tuesday in March. The call came at 4 in the morning. The hospital, a nurse with a tired voice. Words Emily still hears in her dreams. "I'm so sorry, he's gone." Heart attack, sudden, final. He left her Ross Maritime, a mid-sized shipping company with 3 Atlantic routes, 42 employees who'd worked for him for decades, and a reputation for honesty in a harbor where corruption was currency. Her father, Malcolm Ross, used to say, "We move goods, not ghosts. Sleep well, work clean, sign your name knowing it means something." Emily has carried those words like a vow ever since. Now, 3 years later, she walks the frozen docks every morning before sunrise. It's become ritual, this daily pilgrimage through the cold. The cranes groan overhead, metal against metal. Gulls cry and wheel against the gray sky. Containers stack in endless rows like steel prayers, each one stamped with her father's company logo. A lighthouse steady and bright. Sometimes, when the wind shifts just right, she catches the scent of ash, faint, acrid, coming from the old incinerator a mile inland. White ashes. The neighborhood used to wake up covered in them. Thin white powder-coating cars, windowsills, children's playgrounds. For 7 years, her father fought that incinerator. He testified at city council meetings. He rallied neighbors. He shamed the owners in the newspaper until they finally shut it down. He believed in doing things the right way, even when it cost him everything. Emily stops beside Container 47, presses her palm against the cold metal. Her breath fogs in the air. "Am I strong enough to be like you, Dad? Strong enough to stand alone?" Inside the company office, warmth hits her like an embrace. The heater rattles in the corner. Coffee brews, filling the small space with comfort. Photos line the walls. Her father at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Her father shaking hands with employees. Her father standing right where she stands now. Julia Morgan is already at her desk. Has been for an hour, probably. Julia is 53, has worked for Ross Maritime since Emily was in high school, and loves this company almost as much as Emily does. She looks up when Emily enters. Her expression says everything. Another offer came in overnight, Julia says, sliding an envelope across the desk. It's thick, expensive paper. The return address reads simply, Reed Syndicate. Emily doesn't open it. This is the third one this month. She already knows what's inside. Merge with us. Consolidate under our umbrella. Surrender your independence, and we'll make you wealthy beyond measure. They want our Atlantic corridor, Emily says quietly, sinking into her chair. We're the last independent shipping line on the eastern seaboard. Every other route between New York and Charleston is controlled by someone else. Julia leans forward, worry etched deep in the lines around her eyes. Emily, Reed Syndicate isn't just a competitor. Lucas Reed controls shipping routes from Chicago to Boston. Ports, trucking companies, distribution networks. The man has built an empire. She pauses, choosing her words carefully. And that empire wasn't built through polite negotiations. Emily looks out the window. Snow drifts down, soft and relentless. The docks stretch below, busy with morning activity. Men in safety vests directing forklifts, containers being loaded onto trucks. Honest work, clean work. Dad didn't back down from the incinerator. He didn't back down from corrupt inspectors. He didn't back down when they threatened him. She picks up the envelope, weighs it in her hand. Neither will I. Send them the same answer we sent before, Emily says, her voice quiet but absolute. Julia's jaw tightens. You're putting yourself directly in his crosshairs. Men like Lucas Reed, they don't handle rejection well. Then he'll learn that some things aren't for sale. Emily meets Julia's gaze. I'm not handing over my father's company to anyone, especially not to someone who built their business on intimidation. Julia stands slowly, moves toward the door, then stops, turns back. Your father was the bravest man I ever knew, she says softly. But Emily, he's gone, and I can't lose you too. Please just be careful. After Julia leaves, Emily sits in the stillness. The heater rattles, the coffee maker gurgles. The city hums beyond the windows. She opens her father's old desk drawer, the one she's never cleared out. Inside, his fountain pen, worn smooth from years of signing honest manifests. A photo of them together at the docks when she was 12, grinning in an oversized safety vest, his hand on her shoulder. A letter he wrote her when she graduated college. Stand for something, Em, even if you stand alone, especially if you stand alone. Emily traces the words with her fingertip. I'm standing, Dad. I'm standing right where you stood. Watch me hold this line. She closes the drawer softly, picks up the phone, and dials. This is Emily Ross from Ross Maritime. Please inform Mr. Reed that our answer remains unchanged. We're not interested in any merger, acquisition, or partnership. Thank you. She hangs up and waits for the storm. Lucas Reed doesn't negotiate through letters and phone calls. He appears in person 3 days later. The conference room at Ross Maritime is small and practical. Not designed to impress, designed to work. One window overlooks the port. A single table. 8 chairs, a whiteboard still showing last week's shipping schedules. When Lucas walks in, the temperature drops. It's not physical cold, it's something else. The way air changes before lightning strikes. He's tall, 6'2", maybe 6'3". Impeccably dressed in a dark gray suit that probably costs more than Emily's monthly payroll. His presence fills the room without effort. This is a man accustomed to commanding space, to being heard, to being obeyed. Two men flank him. The shorter one carries a briefcase. The taller one, Marcus Hale, carries nothing but watchfulness. His eyes sweep the room once, cataloging exits, potential threats, positioning. But there's no cruelty in those eyes, just professionalism, just loyalty. Emily stands at the head of the table. She's prepared for this. Dressed in her best suit, notes printed and organized, arguments rehearsed. But none of that stops her heart from hammering against her ribs. She doesn't offer her hand. Neither does he, Mr. Reed. A phone call would have sufficed. I don't conduct important business through intermediaries. His voice is smooth, controlled, the kind of voice that makes people lean forward to listen. Not when stakes are this significant. He sits without invitation. The gesture is so casual, so assured, that Emily almost doesn't notice the power play. Almost. His gaze settles on her, steady, assessing, impossibly calm. Ross Maritime controls the only independent shipping corridor between New York and Charleston, he says, as if reading from a report. Your 3 routes handle approximately 12,000 containers monthly. Small operation by industry standards, but strategically invaluable. He pauses. My network spans from the Midwest to the East Coast. I have distribution in every major city, partnerships with every significant manufacturer. You're the final piece of a very large puzzle. Emily remains standing, a deliberate choice. I'm not a piece, Mr. Reed. I'm a person running a company built on principles, and we're not interested in your offer, no matter how you phrase it. Lucas tilts his head slightly, studying her the way someone might study a fascinating equation. You've declined 4 separate proposals, each one more generous than the last. His tone carries no anger, no frustration, just curiosity. Most people accept by the second offer, some by the third, no one reaches 4. Most people don't care what happens to their company after they cash out. Emily's voice is steady, though her palms are damp. I do. Something flickers across his face, so brief she almost misses it. Respect, maybe, or surprise that someone actually said no and meant it. I understand what men like you want, Emily continues, forcing herself to hold his gaze. You want control without accountability. You want power without principles. You want empires built on other people's surrender. She pauses, lets the words land. You won't find that here. Let him hear it clearly. Let him know I'm not afraid, even if I am. Lucas leans back in his chair, and for the first time, a faint smile touches his mouth. But it doesn't reach his eyes. Those remain cool, calculating, distant. You're principled, Miss Ross. It's admirable. The smile fades. But principles don't stop momentum, and momentum is already moving. He stands in one fluid motion, straightens his cuff, an oddly human gesture from someone who seems carved from stone. You have 7 days to reconsider. After that, circumstances will shift. He walks to the door, hand on the handle, then pauses, looks back at her. For what it's worth, I prefer to build partnerships, not wreckage. I hope you'll remember that. The door closes behind him. The silence that follows is deafening. Emily's legs suddenly feel weak. She grips the back of a chair to steady herself, forces herself to breathe, slowly, deliberately. He's just a man, just a businessman. He can't make me do anything. Julia appears in the doorway moments later, face pale as paper. Emily, what just happened? Emily stares at the space where Lucas stood. The air still feels different, like he left an impression on reality itself. I think I just made a very powerful enemy. But why did his eyes look so empty? Like a man who's won everything in the world and feels nothing. Julia moves into the room, closes the door behind her. Emily, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. Her voice is low, urgent. Reed's syndicate has connections to every major port from here to Detroit. If Lucas Reed decides to move against you, truly move against you, he can shut down your suppliers, pressure your clients, tie you up in legal battles for years. Then I'll fight those battles. Emily's voice wavers slightly. Julia, if I give in now, what was the point? What did Dad fight for? What did he die believing in? Julia's expression softens with something like grief. Your father would rather have you alive and compromised than dead and pure. Would he? Emily meets her gaze. Or would he want me to be the kind of person who stands firm when it matters most? Silence stretches between them, the silence of two people who both know the answer but wish they didn't. Julia sighs, exhausted. Just promise me you'll be smart about this. Don't provoke him. Don't give him a reason to... To what? Destroy me? Emily laughs, but there's no humor in it. Julia, he already has reason. I said no. For men like Lucas Reed, that's provocation enough. What happens when power meets principle? When an empire faces someone who refuses to bend? If you're drawn to stories where courage costs everything, stay with us. And if you believe some things are worth the fight, subscribe. Because this journey is just beginning, and the storm is about to break. 3 nights later, Emily's phone rings at 2:17 in the morning. She jerks awake in the darkness of her apartment, heart already racing before she's fully conscious. Phone calls at 2 a.m. are never good news. Never. Miss Ross, it's Martinez, her night supervisor, voice tight with stress. We have a situation at the port. You need to come now. Emily is dressed and in her car within 5 minutes, driving through empty streets slick with new snow. The city is silent at this hour, just streetlights and shadows and the occasional taxi. She arrives to find Dock 12 lit up like daytime. Red and blue lights flash across the containers. Police tape cordons off a large area. Federal agents in dark windbreakers move between cargo stacks, photographing everything. Martinez meets her at the gate, his face ashen. He's worked for her father for 15 years, never missed a shift, never looked this shaken. Container 47, he says, voice barely above a whisper. Someone breached the seal, compromised the load. Emily's stomach drops. She follows him through the maze of containers, ducking under police tape, nodding at officers who recognize her. Container 47 sits open, door hanging at an angle. Inside, pallets of electronics, laptops, tablets, all legitimate, all properly documented. But the digital manifest on the port system shows alterations. Someone inserted unauthorized line items. Someone tried to slip contraband into her clean shipment. Agent Walker approaches. She's met him before at Port Authority meetings. He's in his 50s, silver temples, tired eyes that have seen too much. but there's decency in his face, integrity. Miss Ross, he extends his hand. She shakes it, grateful for the gesture of respect. We need your full cooperation with this investigation. You have it, Agent Walker, completely. Emily's voice is firm despite the fear coursing through her veins. Ross Maritime has never moved contraband, not once in 30 years of operation. Not under my father, not under me. Walker nods slowly. I'm inclined to believe you, Miss Ross. Your reputation is solid, but someone wants us to think otherwise. He pauses, watching her carefully. Someone with access to your systems, your docs, your manifests. Someone. But who? Emily spends the next 4 hours answering questions, providing documentation, walking agents through her security protocols. The sun rises over the port, cold, gray, offering no comfort. By the time she returns to her office, she's exhausted. Julia is already there. She came as soon as she heard. Coffee is waiting, hot and strong. We need to review all the security footage, Julia says, laptop already open. Find out who accessed that container. They spend the mornings scrubbing through grainy video. Hours of darkness, occasional movement, nothing unusual until… There, Julia points at the screen. 3:17 a.m., someone with an override code. They watch as a figure in a Port Authority uniform uses a keycard to access the container. The person works quickly, efficiently, then disappears into the shadows between containers. Who has override codes? Emily asks, though she already suspects the answer. Port Authority personnel, harbor police, and… Julia hesitates. Reed Syndicate. They hold security contracts for half the harbor. Their people have access to almost everything. Emily's chest tightens. So Lucas could have orchestrated this to pressure you into selling. Julia's voice is grim. Or someone else could be using his infrastructure to frame both of you. Either way, you're vulnerable. Enemy or pawn, which am I to him? That evening, back in her apartment, Emily stands at her window, overlooking the city. Lights stretch endlessly below her. Somewhere out there, Lucas Reed is in his tower, making decisions that affect thousands of lives. Somewhere out there, someone is working to destroy her. Her phone buzzes, unknown number. She almost doesn't look. Too tired, too stressed, too afraid of what it might say. But she looks. A single text message, just one line. You're in my way. This is only the beginning. Move or be moved. HW. Emily stares at the initials. HW. She doesn't recognize them. Doesn't know who sent this, or what they want, or why they're targeting her specifically. But the message is clear as glass. Someone is weaponizing her company. Someone is using her roots as a battlefield in a war she didn't start and doesn't understand. And I'm the collateral damage they're willing to accept. She deletes the message with shaking fingers, but the words remain burned into her mind. Sleep doesn't come that night. She sits in the darkness, watching dawn slowly paint the sky, thinking of her father, thinking of his fights against corruption, thinking of how he never, ever backed down. I won't break. Not for Reed, not for whoever HW is, not for anyone. But as morning light touches her windows, a small voice whispers in the back of her mind. What if standing firm means losing everything? What if courage costs more than you can afford to pay? She has no answer, only determination, only her father's pen in her pocket and his words in her heart. Stand for something, even if you stand alone. Emily doesn't sleep that night, or the next. By dawn of the third day, she's back at the port, running on coffee and sheer willpower. Julia brings her something to eat: toast, fruit, things Emily doesn't touch. She's too focused on the screens, the logs, the manifests. Every container logged in the past 6 months. Every shipment, every signature. She's looking for patterns, anomalies, anything that might explain who's targeting her and why. At noon, Port Authority calls again. Another container flagged. Different dock, same pattern, altered manifest, suspicious signatures that don't match any employee on record. "This is systematic," Julia says, voice tight with barely controlled panic. "Someone's orchestrating your downfall, piece by piece. They're building a case against you." "But why?" Emily's voice cracks. "I'm nobody. I'm a small operator trying to keep my father's company alive. Why target me?" Before Julia can answer, the office door opens. No knock, no warning. Lucas Reed walks in. No bodyguards this time, no briefcase. Just him, alone, in daylight, streaming through the windows. Julia moves toward the phone immediately. "I'm calling security." Lucas doesn't look at her. His entire focus is on Emily. "I own the security contracts. They answer to me, not to you." Emily stands slowly, hands pressed flat against her desk to hide their trembling. "Leave, now." "Not until you see this." He pulls a tablet from inside his coat, just the tablet, nothing else, and sets it carefully on her desk. Not aggressive, not threatening, just urgent. "Someone's targeting you," he says quietly. "And it isn't me." Emily wants to refuse, wants to throw him out, wants to maintain her anger and her certainty. But something in his voice, something genuine, something almost like concern, makes her look. She glances at the tablet screen, surveillance footage, aerial view, a drone hovering over her docks, night vision green, making everything look ghostly. The drone zooms in on a specific container, on the manifest number, on the lock. And there, clear as day on the drone's body, a logo, a raven with spread wings, clutching something in its talons. "Harlan Wade," Lucas says, voice low and controlled. "Northern Syndicate. Territory spans from Pennsylvania through Maine. He wants your roots." He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "And he'll burn them to the ground to get leverage." Emily's pulse pounds in her ears. "Why would he target me? I've never even heard of Harlan Wade." "Because you're leverage, against me." The words land like stones in still water, ripples spreading outward. Against him. Because I refuse to sell. Because I'm the gap in his territory he can't close. Emily sinks back into her chair, legs suddenly weak. "This is your war, not mine." "It wasn't," Lucas agrees, and his voice is different now, softer, almost gentle. "Until Wade made you his weapon. He knows I want your corridor. He knows you won't sell. So he's sabotaging you to weaken my position and force my hand." "Force your hand to do what?" Lucas is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. "To choose between expanding my territory and protecting you." Protecting me. The words hang in the air between them, heavy with implications Emily doesn't want to examine. "Why would you protect me?" She looks up at him, searching his face for deception, for manipulation, for anything that makes sense. "I'm your obstacle. I'm the one standing between you and what you want." Lucas's jaw tightens. He looks away, toward the window, toward the port below. "Because I don't allow my enemies to harm innocent people to get to me." He turns back to her. And because you deserve better than to be destroyed in someone else's war. Innocent. Deserve better. His words sound almost protective. Emily's chest feels tight, like she can't quite catch her breath. I don't need protection from you or anyone else. Perhaps not. Lucas moves toward the door, slow, deliberate, like he's giving her time to stop him. But you're going to have it regardless of what you need. He pauses at the threshold, hand on the door frame. Wade will escalate, Miss Ross. He always does. When he does, call this number. He sets a business card on the edge of her desk. Simple, black. Just a phone number, no name. Day or night. I'll answer. Then he's gone, leaving only the business card and 1,000 questions Emily doesn't want to answer. Julia stares at the door, then at Emily. What just happened? Emily looks at the surveillance footage, still frozen on the tablet. The Raven logo. The drone hovering over her livelihood. I don't know, she whispers, but I think he just told me the truth. The federal raid happens on a Tuesday morning. Emily is reviewing contracts when the agents arrive. 12 of them, moving with practiced efficiency through Ross Maritime's offices. They're polite but firm, showing warrants, listing charges, reading rights. Container 81, flagged at customs during routine inspection. Inside, counterfeit pharmaceuticals, street value $2 million. Origin, unknown, destination, unknown. Manifest, signed by Emily Ross. Except Emily has never seen that manifest, never authorized that shipment, never signed anything related to Container 81. But her digital signature is there, her authorization code, her name. Miss Ross, you need to come with us for questioning. The interrogation room at the federal building is designed to intimidate. Sterile, fluorescent, cold. Steel table bolted to the floor, steel chairs, one-way mirror reflecting Emily's frightened face back at her. Agent Walker sits across from her, file folder thick with evidence she knows is fabricated but can't prove is fabricated. Miss Ross, this is the second incident in 2 weeks. I didn't authorize that shipment. Emily keeps her voice steady, but her hands shake in her lap, fingers twisted together. Someone is framing me, Agent Walker. Someone with access to my systems, my signatures, my codes. We're investigating that possibility. Walker's voice is professional, neither warm nor cold. But the evidence is substantial. Your company's digital systems show your authorization, your signature, your approval. Digital signatures can be forged. They can, but proving that will take time, weeks, possibly months. He slides a document across the table. In the meantime, your operating license is suspended pending full investigation. All shipping operations cease immediately. The words hit like a physical blow. Suspended. The company. Dad's legacy. Everything. Emily can't breathe. The room tilts slightly. Her vision narrows to a tunnel. 42 employees, 3 routes, 30 years of reputation. Gone, just gone. Agent Walker, please. The door opens. Lucas Reed walks in, Marcus Hale 2 steps behind him. Lucas's suit is immaculate, navy this time, perfectly tailored. He moves like someone who belongs in federal buildings, someone who isn't intimidated by badges and authority. Marcus carries a leather briefcase, sets it on the table with a soft thud. Agent Walker frowns, half rising from his seat. Mr. Reed, this is a federal interrogation. You can't. I'm serving as Miss Ross's legal consultant. Lucas sits beside Emily without asking permission, without hesitation. She's entitled to representation. She hasn't requested. "I'm requesting it now," Emily says, surprising herself. She doesn't know why she trusts Lucas in this moment. She shouldn't trust him. But something in his presence, calm, certain, unshakable, makes her feel less alone. Marcus opens the briefcase with practiced efficiency. Lucas extracts a thick file, documents stamped with federal seals, pages marked with highlighter and sticky notes. Container 81 was rerouted through Wade Logistics 72 hours before it arrived at Port Sterling, Lucas says, voice steady and matter of fact. The manifest was digitally altered in transit, using a Port Authority override code reported stolen 2 weeks ago. He slides documents across the table, shipping logs, digital trails, security footage. Miss Ross had no access to Wade Logistics systems, no knowledge of the reroute, no involvement whatsoever. Walker's eyes narrow as he reviews the evidence. Page after page, time stamps, digital signatures that don't match. Location data showing Emily was in 3 different places when the authorization supposedly occurred. "How did you obtain this information?" Walker asks carefully. "I have extensive resources and considerable motivation to uncover the truth." Lucas's tone is calm, absolute, offering no room for argument. "Harlan Wade is using Miss Ross as a weapon against me. He's systematically destroying her reputation to force my hand in a territorial dispute. She's an innocent bystander being sacrificed in a war she didn't start and doesn't understand. He investigated this, for me, spent time and resources, and why would he do that?" Silence fills the interrogation room. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The air conditioning hums. Finally, Walker nods slowly, carefully. "This changes the investigation significantly. Miss Ross, you're free to leave for now. Remain available for follow-up questioning. We'll be pursuing Mr. Scapito Wade based on this evidence." Outside in the courthouse hallway, Emily leans against the cold wall. Her legs feel unsteady. The fluorescent lights seem too bright, the hallway too long, reality too overwhelming. She could have lost everything. Her company, her freedom, her future. Lucas stands several feet away, giving her space but watching her carefully. Marcus waits by the elevator, hands clasped behind his back, eyes scanning the hallway with professional vigilance. "You didn't have to do that," Emily whispers when she can finally speak. "Yes, I did. But why?" She looks at him, really looks at him. "You wanted my company. You threatened me. You said circumstances would shift. Why save me?" Lucas steps closer, just close enough that she can see the exhaustion etched around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the weight he carries that no one else sees. "Because I'm tired of men like Harlan Wade crushing decent people to gain advantage." He pauses and his voice drops so low she has to strain to hear. "And because somewhere in the last 2 weeks, keeping you safe became more important than acquiring your company." The air between them shifts from adversarial to something unnameable, something that makes Emily's heart race and her breath catch. From enemy to, what, protector, ally, something more? "You still want my corridor," she says. Not a question, a statement. "I do," he admits. No deception, no manipulation, just honesty. "But not at the cost of who you are, not by destroying you." His jaw works like he's choosing words carefully. "You remind me that business isn't just about territory and control. You remind me why any of this matters. Emily's chest feels tight. She doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to process the shift happening between them. You owe me nothing now, Lucas says quietly, but I won't let Wade destroy you. That's not negotiable. The elevator dings. Marcus clears his throat softly, a gentle reminder that they should leave. Lucas steps back, and Emily sees his armor slide into place, sees him become the businessman again, the strategist, the man in control. Marcus will drive you home. Don't go anywhere alone until Wade is handled. He's already walking toward the elevator. And Miss Ross, keep that business card I gave you. Use it if you need anything, day or night. He disappears into the elevator. Emily stands alone in the hallway, trying to understand what just happened, trying to make sense of her racing heart and shaking hands, and the strange, unwelcome warmth spreading through her chest. Who are you really, Lucas Reed? And why do I suddenly want to know? 2 days later, an envelope arrives at Emily's apartment. Handwritten, elegant script. Please join me for tea. There are things you should know about my son. Diana Reed. Diana Reed, Lucas's mother. Julia warns her against going. It could be a setup, manipulation. But curiosity, and something deeper, pulls Emily forward. The penthouse overlooks Lake Michigan. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame winter light like captured hope. Diana sits by the fire, small and graceful, a blanket draped over her knees. There's fragility in her frame, but strength in her eyes, the kind earned through surviving loss. Miss Ross, thank you for coming. Emily sits across from her. Tea is poured, delicate, aromatic, warm. The scent wraps around her like comfort. Lucas doesn't know I invited you, Diana says softly, but I needed to meet the woman who's making him question everything he's built. Question? Diana's smile is sad, knowing. He's spent his entire adult life constructing walls, control, power, isolation. She looks at Emily with eyes that have witnessed too much. You're the first person in years to make him wonder if it was worth it. Emily's chest tightens. Mrs. Reed, I'm not sure I understand. His father was killed when Lucas was 16. Diana's voice remains gentle but firm. Murdered by a rival who wanted our territory. Lucas entered that world to protect me, to protect what little we had left. She pauses, looking into the fire. He's been alone ever since, surrounded by people, yet utterly alone. Alone. Like me since Dad died. He's carried that loneliness for 22 years, Diana continues. Don't judge him solely by his empire. There's a man beneath it. A good man, one I feared I'd lost forever. Emily's hands tremble around her cup. Why are you telling me this? Diana reaches across, touches Emily's hand with surprising warmth. Because I believe you already see him, and because he needs someone who does. Her grip tightens, urgent. He needs someone who reminds him what it means to care about something beyond survival. I see him, heaven help me, I do. Emily stays for another hour. Diana shares stories. Lucas at 10, insisting on escorting her home from the market. Lucas at 15, reading to her during her illness. Lucas at 20, hardened and cold after his father's funeral, but still placing fresh flowers at her bedside every Sunday. He's not a monster, Diana whispers. He's a man who forgot he's allowed to be human. That night, Lucas appears at Emily's apartment. No call, no text, no warning. She opens the door to find him standing in the hallway, snow melting on his shoulders, expression unreadable. My mother contacted you. Not a question, a statement. Emily nods, steps aside. Come in. He enters slowly, like he's not sure he should be here, like crossing her threshold means something he's not ready to name. They stand in her small living room. The city hums distantly below. The radiator ticks, spreading warmth through the modest space. It's so different from his penthouse, from his office, from anywhere she imagines he spends time. But he doesn't seem uncomfortable, just uncertain. What did she tell you? Lucas asks quietly. The truth, I think. He closes his eyes briefly. About my father. Yes. Silence stretches between them, heavy, significant, full of things neither knows how to say. I wanted your corridor, Lucas says finally, voice barely above a whisper. That was the plan. Secure the route, complete the network, consolidate control, build the empire bigger, stronger, untouchable. He opens his eyes, looks at her directly. But somewhere along the way, what I wanted changed. Emily's heart pounds against her ribs. Changed to what? To keeping you safe, to making sure you survive this intact, to wanting you to look at me like I'm someone worth knowing instead of someone to fear. Oh, the vulnerability in his voice, raw, unguarded, real, makes Emily's chest ache. Lucas, I need to understand something. She moves closer, just a few steps, testing the space between them. Are you protecting me because I'm strategically useful, or because I can't lose you? The words rush out, desperate and honest and terrifying. Because when you walk into a room, I remember what it's like to be someone other than what I became. Because you make me want to be better than I am. Emily can't breathe, can't think, can only feel the warmth spreading through her chest, the shift happening between them, the walls coming down. My whole life has been about control, Lucas continues, and his voice cracks slightly. About never showing weakness, never letting anyone close, never caring about anything more than I care about survival. He steps closer, and she can see every line of exhaustion on his face, every scar he's earned, every burden he carries. And then you stood in that conference room and told me no, and something in me, something I thought was dead, woke up. Emily reaches out slowly, carefully, gives him time to pull away. He doesn't. Her hand covers his, small and dark against his pale skin, warm and steady. I'm not everyone else who hurt you, she says softly. Lucas stares at their joined hands like he's seeing a miracle. No, he whispers, you're not. Reciprocity, vulnerability, the second and third love checks passing naturally, inevitably, like they were always meant to. They stand like that for a long time, two people who should be enemies, who became something else entirely, who are becoming something neither expected and both desperately need. Finally, Lucas pulls back gently. I should go. Lucas. Emily's voice stops him. Whatever happens next, thank you for being honest, for being real with me. His expression softens into something she's never seen before, something almost like hope. Stay safe, Emily, please. After he leaves, Emily stands in her doorway for long minutes, hand pressed over her racing heart, trying to process what just happened, trying to understand the warmth flooding through her, trying to deny what she already knows. I'm falling for him, for the mafia boss who tried to take my company, for the man beneath the empire, for Lucas, and that changes everything. It happens at dusk 3 days later. Emily leaves the office at Route 14, loading dock. Julia is inside finalizing shipment schedules. Marcus has been shadowing Emily for days, Lucas's orders, but she insisted on walking to her car alone. I refuse to live in fear. I refuse to be a prisoner. She's halfway across the lot when the van appears. 3 men, masks, no words. She fights, screams. A hand clamps over her mouth, cloth pressed to her face, chemical-soaked, sickeningly sweet. The world tilts, blurs, fades to nothing. She wakes in a refrigerated container. Metal walls slick with frost. Emergency light flashing red, then dark, then red again. Cold bites through her coat, her skin, down to her bones. Her phone is gone, keys, everything. But in her coat pocket, her father's pen, the one he used to sign every honest manifest. Worn smooth from years of integrity, she grips it like an anchor. Dad, I need you now. Tell me I'm strong enough. The container door opens with a metallic screech. Harlan Wade steps inside. 50. Greedy eyes, smile like a blade. Miss Ross, apologies for the accommodations. Emily forces her voice steady despite the cold screaming through her veins. What do you want? Lucas reads Empire. Wade crouches before her, breath visible in the frozen air. And you're my key to getting it. He won't trade for me, I'm nothing to him. Wade laughs, sharp, cruel, delighted. Oh, sweetheart, he's already negotiating. No, Lucas, don't sacrifice everything for... He cares about you, Wade continues, almost conversational. Fascinating weakness for a man like him. I intend to exploit it fully. Emily's jaw clenches. If you harm him, you'll what? Wade stands towering over her. You're tied up in a freezing container. You have no leverage, no power, no options. He leaves, the door slams. Locks engage with brutal finality. Emily is utterly alone. The cold intensifies. Her fingers go numb. Breath comes in short, painful gasps. I won't panic. I won't give up. He'll come. Somehow he'll come. She remembers Diana's words. He's been alone too long. She remembers Lucas's confession. Everyone I let close. I let him close, he let me close. That has to mean something. Time blurs in the dark and cold. Hours, maybe minutes, impossible to tell. Miles away, Lucas is in his office, sleek, modern, overlooking the city lights. Marcus enters, expression grim, and hands him a phone. It's Wade. Lucas goes completely still, dangerously still. Lucas Reed, let's discuss terms. Where is she? Not a question, a command. Safe, for now. Wade's voice drips with satisfaction. Her continued safety has a price. Name it. Sign over your East Coast operations, every shipping contract, every port from Boston to Charleston. Wade pauses for effect. And deliver Marcus Hale plus your top 3 lieutenants to federal custody. I want them arrested, convicted, permanently removed from power. Marcus, my closest friend, my brother in everything but blood. Lucas closes his eyes. In his mind, Emily's face, her determination, her refusal to bend, the way she looked at him like he was still human. Choice, the 4th love check. Marcus watches him, expression neutral, but eyes understanding everything. Boss, don't. Lucas raises one hand. Silence falls. When he speaks, his voice is soft, final, absolute. I'll give you everything, the empire, the roots, Marcus, all of it. He pauses, every word deliberate. Just return her alive and unharmed. Wade laughs triumphant. Warehouse 19, midnight. Come alone with signed documents, and perhaps you'll see her again. The line goes dead. Marcus steps forward, voice low. You can't seriously. I'm not losing her. Lucas's voice is steel wrapped in anguish. Not for this, not for anything I've built. She wouldn't want you to. I know. Lucas looks at his oldest friend, his brother. But I'm doing it anyway. Because she's worth more than an empire, more than power, more than everything I've spent 20 years building. Marcus is quiet for a long moment. Then, I'll go with you. No, if I'm handing you to the authorities, you need to disappear first. I'm not running. Marcus, you'd burn it all for her. Marcus's voice is firm, loyal to the core. Then I stand beside you while you do. Lucas grips his shoulder. No words, just profound gratitude. They prepare for the endgame, but Lucas makes one additional call. Quiet, careful, strategic. To Agent Walker. If I'm going down, Wade is coming with me. Warehouse 19 sits at the port's edge, abandoned, frozen. The snowstorm intensifies, wind howling like fury itself. Lucas arrives with his convoy, 12 black SUVs, headlights cutting through white chaos. Marcus drives the lead vehicle, the others, loyal men who've served Lucas for years. Men who understand tonight might end everything. No visible weapons, just presence. Power restrained but palpable. They enter the warehouse. Vast, empty, shadows and steel and echoing silence. Wade waits in the center. Emily is bound to a chair beside him, shaking from cold, but eyes fierce, unbroken. She's alive. Thank God, she's alive. Lucas Reed, punctual as always. Lucas steps forward, hands open and empty. Release her. I'll sign whatever you demand. Wade grins like a predator. See, even kings kneel when someone threatens their queen. Emily's voice cuts through, raw but strong. Don't, Lucas, don't surrender for me. Lucas looks only at her. Everything else fades. If I lose everything but save you, I'll still have what matters most. Wade produces a contract, pages and pages of legal transfer. Your ports, your routes, your organization, your top men delivered to federal custody by dawn, everything you've built. Lucas takes the pen Wade extends. Emily shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. Please, don't do this because of me. I'd trade the empire for you, Lucas says softly, eyes locked on hers. Every single time, without hesitation. Commitment, the fifth love check, the final one. Wade laughs, but it's cut brutally short. The power fails. Snowstorm takes down the main electrical lines. Complete, absolute darkness. Chaos erupts instantly. In the darkness, Marcus has already moved, cutting Emily's restraints with the blade he kept hidden. Emily acts on pure instinct, grabbing the emergency flashlight. Marcus pressed into her hand moments before the blackout. She aims the beam at the skylight, flashing in deliberate rhythm. Morse code. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS 5 seconds later, the doors explode inward. Spotlights flood the space. Federal agents swarm from every entrance. Federal agents, nobody move, hands where we can see them. Agent Walker's voice booms through the chaos. Wade bolts for the rear exit. Lucas intercepts him with brutal efficiency, tackling him to the concrete. Marcus and his men surround them instantly, holding Wade until federal agents arrive to take custody. Harlan Wade, you're under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, federal trafficking violations, and attempted murder. Wade struggles, screaming threats and curses, but it's finished. Lucas doesn't watch. He's already moving toward Emily. He drops to his knees beside her, cupping her frozen face in his hands. Are you hurt? Emily, look at me. Are you hurt? Emily collapses into his arms, and he holds her with desperate intensity, tight enough to feel her heartbeat, tight enough to know she's real and alive and safe. "I've got you," he whispers into her hair, voice breaking. "You're safe. I've got you. You're safe." Emily's hands grip his coat, holding on like he's the only solid thing in the universe. "You were going to give up everything." "I was." His voice cracks completely. "Because nothing matters without you. Nothing." Agent Walker approaches, professional but not unkind. "Mr. Reed, we'll need statements from both of you." Lucas nods without looking away from Emily. She needs medical attention immediately. Ambulance is waiting outside. Lucas lifts Emily gently, carries her through the snow to the waiting paramedics. They wrap her in thermal blankets, check her vitals, shine lights in her eyes. Lucas doesn't leave her side for a second. Marcus appears quietly beside them. "Boss, Wade's in custody. Full confession on record. He'll be imprisoned for life." Lucas nods slowly. "Thank you, Marcus, for everything." "For what?" "For reminding me what loyalty looks like when it's not purchased." He pauses, looking at his oldest friend. "You're free. No federal deal was necessary. Wade acted alone in his demands. His arrest nullifies everything." Marcus allows himself a rare, small smile. "Good, because I wasn't planning on leaving anyway." 3 weeks later, spring arrives in Port Sterling. Snow melts, revealing new green beneath. Light touches the docks with soft gold, promise and possibility. Ross Maritime is fully cleared of all charges, reputation restored. Emily stands in her office, signing new contracts, ethical logistics partnerships, community job programs, clean trade routes that honor her father's vision. Lucas stands beside her, no longer an enemy, no longer a threat, a partner in every sense. "Reed Ross Logistics," Julia reads aloud, shaking her head with genuine warmth. "I never imagined I'd see this day." Lucas glances at Emily. "Your name leads." "Our names," Emily corrects firmly. "Equal partnership, equal voice." He takes her hand, squeezes gently. Equality, dignity, earned and shared. That evening, they walk along Lake Michigan's shore. The old incinerator stands in the distance, demolished now. Nothing but cleared earth. No more white ashes falling over the neighborhood. Just clear, open sky. They're building a community center where it used to be. Emily says quietly, "Free job training, healthcare clinic. My father would have loved seeing that." Lucas stops, turns to face her fully. "He'd be incredibly proud of you." "Of us," she corrects again, smiling. He pulls her close, cradling her face in his hands. "Emily Ross, you're the one thing I couldn't break." His voice is thick with emotion, vulnerability laid bare. "And the only thing that put me back together." Emily smiles through tears, good ones, healing ones, the kind that come from finally letting go of fear. "Then we build something honest together, Lucas, something worthy of both our names." He kisses her forehead, soft, reverent, full of unspoken promises. In the penthouse, Diana Reed watches from the window, hand pressed over her heart. Her son is laughing, truly laughing, for the first time in decades. He's finally home, finally healed. Emily and Lucas stand side by side on the dock, watching sunset paint the water in gold and rose and purple. Container cranes hum with honest work. Seagulls call overhead. The city breathes around them, alive and renewed. "You know," Emily says softly, "my father used to say the ocean doesn't judge your past, only the direction you're sailing." Lucas squeezes her hand, interlacing their fingers. Then let's sail somewhere good. She leans into him, safe, whole, free, complete. Two people who should have been enemies, who became something far more motivational, living proof that even the hardest hearts can heal, that even the darkest empires can find redemption. From the office window, Julia watches them, wiping her eyes. Marcus stands beside her, rare gentleness in his expression. He deserves this happiness, Marcus says quietly. So does she, Julia replies with feeling. They nod, understanding, acceptance, hope. Stories of the mafia and romance aren't supposed to end like this, but sometimes, just sometimes, they do. Somewhere in the harbor, a ship's horn sounds low and deep, a new route opening, a new beginning unfolding. And as the sun sets over Port Sterling, Emily Ross and Lucas Reed walk forward together, not as mafia boss and CEO, not as enemies, not as broken pieces trying to survive, but as partners, as equals, as love finally found. White ashes settle and scatter on the wind. The past is buried. The future is theirs to build together. The music fades, but the warmth lingers long after. Because this is what healing looks like. This is what love looks like. This is what inspirational courage looks like when it refuses to break, even under impossible pressure. If this story moved your heart, if you believe love can heal even the deepest wounds and redeem even the darkest pasts, share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more stories like this, stories of courage, transformation, and romance that honors every soul. Because everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves to watch their white ashes finally settle and make way for something beautiful. Thank you for walking this journey with Emily and Lucas. Until we meet again.